Welcome. Thanks for being a part of our movement. Aptera is a solar mobility company. We're building the most efficient transportation on the planet. I'm Sarah Hardwick. I'm here today with our co-founders, Chris Anthony and Steve Fambro, and we'll be joined in just a little bit with our Chief of Design, Jason Hill, to give you a first look at Gamma. So here's what we'll be covering in the next hour. We're going to start off with a factory overview, and then we'll go through each of our systems within the vehicle. And then we'll see the advanced transformation of Gamma with Jason Hill. And then we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, it's amazing to have so many people on this call today. So hopefully you guys will get a lot out of this, and we're happy to answer questions at the end. But the first thing we want to talk about is this amazing new facility we're in here in Carlsbad, California, where we have over 200,000 square feet of manufacturing space available to us now. It's taken a long time to get this facility ready. The floors were an amazing adventure that took us several months to grind down, but unfortunately, the commercial real estate market is kind of changing from where everybody was using offices to now everybody wants open and more flexible space. So we just so happened to find a building that was all offices, so we had to tear them all out and make it into a manufacturing space. But now we feel very comfortable in our new building, and we'll be showing everyone more about these facilities over time. We're just now kind of ordering the equipment to stage these facilities for manufacturing, which we hope to start to scale into by the end of this year. We're thinking that this facility here will be the final assembly plant, and our second facility will be more for sub-assemblies, so you'll get to see a lot and learn a lot about how these facilities come together over the next 6 months. Anything else, Eve?
Yeah, that's great.
We've had an amazing evolving relationship with a company called Red Viking. Something that makes their products super unique is their autonomous guided vehicles that take our vehicles to be assembled around the factory floor to the different stations where they need to be assembled. They're basically robotic carts that the vehicle sits upon, and then it goes through now our currently designed 12 stations to assemble in Aptera in just under 2 hours. But the cool thing about these robots is they can be programmed for different takt times. So in the beginning, if we're taking, say, 20 minutes per station, you can program the robots to move 20 minutes per station. And then as we speed up to 15 minutes to 10 minutes, the vehicles can just move faster. And if there's a problem on the line, say a part gets installed wrong or a part ends up, obviously broken, you can have the robot take the vehicle off the assembly line, go over to a repair station, and when the vehicle's ready again, it can move it back in the queue to be ready for the next assembly operation. And as we grow Aptera and have more Aptera variants, assembly times may vary between the variants. As we get into maybe bigger or different vehicles, these carts are really adaptable over time. So it's not the traditional automotive plant that has overhead gantries that you have to install that cost millions and millions of dollars and aren't very flexible. You've heard of, factory changeovers in automotive past where it's taken, a factory almost a year just to change over from one line to another. And that's because all of this equipment has to be installed, and it's very expensive and very cumbersome to uninstall and ramp up to a new and different kind of automotive line. For us, it's really just changing the programming of the robots, how the robots move through the factory. So it's been an amazing relationship, and I think Pablo's been very happy about how the manufacturing floors come together with Red Viking.
We actually, before we go into powertrain, have an exciting video to show you regarding the factory and the way that it will flow in the facility.
We're back.
Wonderful. All right, as we're going through the different systems of the vehicle, Chris, would you like to talk about powertrain?
I would, and I'm sure Steve can chime in too. But we've had amazing progress with Alafe Motors in Slovenia. Steve, myself, Akash, and Pablo traveled over to Italy and Slovenia and had an amazing trip with those guys. They are scaling their manufacturing capabilities to meet our production needs now, and they'll be delivering those motors from Slovenia to here in the U.S. for us to assemble these amazingly efficient motor packages. I find myself, we have lots of meetings with investors and people interested in Aptera, and describing this powertrain system and the power that it gives Aptera. It's just simplistic. The motor is in the wheel. You get rid of, a centralized motor and a transaxle or a gearbox. You get rid of U-joints. You get rid of drive shafts. It's more aerodynamically efficient. It's more efficient at speed. It's just an amazing thing that makes, the Aptera even more efficient. And I think we're just so grateful to the team at Alafe for helping us bring this to reality and bring this to the masses, because I think this technology will make the world a better place, because it'll make vehicles more efficient. So happy that arrangement has progressed nicely, and we're starting to push on all the gears. They're buying equipment. They're rehabbing facilities.
It's a joke.
There's no gears.
He said push all the gears.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. Steve, did you want to add to that? I know you
Sorry for
forged
that banana peel.
you forged the relationship back in the day with Alafe. You've known them for years and years, and
I
their
mean,
CEO. So anything to add to that?
Yeah, we made the introductions, but as Chris said, it's a team, right? It's Pablo and the engineers who are working with them to make it happen. One of the things I'm super excited that they're doing, besides modifying the motor to physically meet our needs, is the work that they're doing to make it more efficient with the windings and the shape and everything of the wire. And that's going to be a significant step function above where we are now in terms of the motor losses and efficiency. So I'm really excited to get these new motors.
Great. Oops. There we go. All right, another exciting area of advancement for us at Aptera, battery.
Yeah, our battery team has been doing amazing things and characterizing our 2170 cells, not just individually, but now as modules and a pack. Has been really cool to see. The thermal characteristics of the pack design that we've come up with has just been amazing, and it's really cool to see kind of the equipment and processes come together to bring this pack to life. It's amazingly energy dense, and our first pack design that you saw a video on a couple weeks ago, our 41 kilowatt hour pack, 45 kilowatt hour pack, 41 kilowatt usable, is just, it'll be an amazing first offering for us, and it'll be really cool to see those vehicles rolling around. We will deliver the 41 kilowatt hour battery pack first, and then we'll deliver the 250 mile range, then we'll deliver the 600 mile range, and then we'll deliver the 1,000 mile range after that. So that's kind of the staging order of how we're delivering these battery packs.
That's exciting stuff.
And an amazing relationship that we formed along the way designing this battery pack is with Eve Energy. They're going to be one of our battery cell suppliers. They've been very helpful in kind of cell characterization over the last few months. And we've been making battery modules and packs with their cells that are going through validation now. They're giving us 2170 NMC cells. The specific NMC chemistry is called 811, but if you do your research, it's a very energy dense chemistry that works perfectly for our needs and gets us tons of range and tons of energy density, and is kind of the latest and greatest in the battery world.
Yeah, great. Yep, stay tuned for more details on that announcement very soon. Charging.
Charging. It's a wonderful topic that we love to talk about. Do we have any picture slides?
We
of this?
don't.
Or, but we feel that the charging infrastructure in the U.S. is terribly lacking for where we want to be in 10 years. I mean, it's easy to say that Washington State wants to have an all-electric vehicle fleet by 2030, and California wants to have an all-electric vehicle sales mandate by 2035. The grid is not ready. The infrastructure is not ready, all the way from, how the utilities deal with electric vehicle charging. We're facing brownouts here in California because we have a lot of electric vehicles on the grid and no one's added the extra, electrical grid infrastructure to compensate for that. But in the future, all the way down from how the utilities handle that to how you actually plug your vehicle in. And, years ago, we saw the evolution of the J1772 connector. And I think we all marveled at the inadequacy or elegantness of that connector, that it was big and clunky and looked like a hair dryer or, something else. It just wasn't elegant at all. And then one day, Tesla brought out their charge plug. And it was beautiful. It was this, elegant little, comfortable handle that you just shoved in an electric vehicle. And I thought like, oh, electric vehicles are the future. Like that little plug will get even more elegant over time. And sadly, the opposite has happened. It hasn't gotten more elegant than the Tesla charging standard. It's gotten worse. You look at like CHAdeMO came out right after Tesla, and then we got CCS and these DC fast charge plugs. I mean, they're bigger than grandma's arm, and you got to plug them into your vehicle, and they get these big clunky cables. I mean, the Tesla charging standard is what the U.S. standard should be. They're installing charging networks cheaper than anybody else, and their charge plug is the most elegant solution out there by far. 150 kilowatts through a little tiny handle that even your child, my child's 10 years old, he's kind of a big boy now, but that even your child can plug in. Not these big monstrosity of chargers that have these crazy cables and locking mechanisms, and it's just it infuriates me to see the state of some of the charging standards when we could have the Tesla standard.
Yeah, my personal experience with a friend of mine's new plug-in hybrid, we couldn't unplug it once it was charged, and we had to actually go on the Googles and search and find out how to unplug it, and you have to unlock the vehicle to do that. But it's like the complete opposite approach of how Tesla has taken, of just making it simple, small, efficient, easy to use. So I think your point's well made.
I think we feel strongly about the U.S. adopting Tesla's charging standards, and we think we'll ask your help in the next few weeks and months on helping to try to force that action.
All right. Chassis.
Chassis, the amazing chassis team that we have. I think we have a picture of them out at our test track. They spent a week out in the desert doing some amazing testing. You see the vehicle here; it's got sensors all over it to tell G-force and movement of the wheels, and basically trying to break everything on the Aptera. They were out doing skid pad tests. They were doing that thing where like whoop-de-whoop side to side. And the most fascinating thing, and you'll see in the picture here, the front tire is flat on the Aptera because they were doing a 45-degree curb strike. So basically you drive really fast to a curb at a 45-degree angle, and it pops your tires. But what you're really testing is how does the rest of the suspension handle those loads? How does your wheel handle the load? How does the wheel motor handle the load? How does the upper and lower control arm handle the load? How do the bushings handle the load? And we passed with flying colors. I think it's an amazing compliment to our body structures team and to our chassis team that everything just worked so elegantly, and I think we just have even more confidence with pushing this version of suspension into production now. So
one note, this was at a particular proving ground. The photo was not taken in the proving ground because cameras weren't allowed, but just outside the proving ground, which is where they took this.
Yeah.
So
late at night.
Yeah, we can't say who owns that proving ground, but it's a well-known company.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Wheel covers.
Our wonderful wheel covers, our aerodynamic dream of wheel covers that have gone through infinite iterations and will go through more iterations as we push to production. But I think, do we have some pictures?
Yeah, I think we have a video actually.
Oh, let's let Charles explain our current condition of our wheel pants.
I'm Charles Koenig, and a little while ago, you saw a recording of me with the earlier version of the wheel pants, and I'm here to give you an update. There have been some changes and some improvements to the wheel pant that I think allow it to satisfy many of its engineering requirements now. Okay. So here you can see an updated CAD model of the wheel pant. At the front and back, 20 millimeter thick ethylene vinyl acetate foam bumpers to allow it to take impacts. At the top is a plastic structured lens. On the inside is the plate that mounts to the spindle, and then a wheel pant in sheet molded carbon with an inner liner, permanently bonded together. And what happens when we go to simulate it? Well, we have a model of approximately 800,000 elements, which, when run with the SMC laminate and a plastic lens, gives the following modal results. So this is equivalent to putting the component on a shaker table and allowing it to run at various different frequencies until it itself shakes, until it moves, and you're getting the resonant frequencies of it. The first few modes are trivial. They are simply, since it's trained, it could drop or spin in any direction it wanted. The first mode, you can see that's non-trivial, is the outer of the wheel pant bouncing in and out. Now this is restrained by the outboard bearing, but it occurs at 77 hertz, and that's above the target. And then next, you see the 100 hertz motion where the entire wheel pant is involved. This is effectively the first true resonant frequency of the part. And if we could go about 225 miles per hour, we would run into this mode, but we're limited to 110. So there's a considerable factor of safety as far as not having your entire wheel pant shake as you drive them. The following modes beyond it, again, a more local, but now with compression of the light, the back, and the global mode where absolutely everything is vibrating around, show that this wheel pant meets the stiffness requirements that we set out to meet and should provide an experience where your aerodynamic shape of your wheel cover does not change, and it doesn't cause weird reflections in your view as it shakes all over the place. I hope you enjoyed the date, and the next phase we will continue doing development on the lighting and on the mounting between the inner and outer, and then proceed into prototyping, tests, and later production. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll pass it over to Steve Fambro to talk to us a little bit about body controls.
Thanks. By the way, some of the feedback from the live chat is, what are you guys drinking, cocktails and whiskey early in the morning? I assure you it's not. It's Celsius drinks. We're addicted to them. They make us very productive.
Caffeine is key.
One of the things Aptera is doing different with body controls and wiring is we're minimizing the amount of wiring that the vehicle uses. And we're able to do that through a unique architecture that we've developed called the POU, Point of Use Controller. And they're very small, low-cost, simple controllers that we've developed that we sprinkle around the vehicle, so to speak. And they handle the loads of sensors, lights, switches, relays, things like that locally, so that we're not routing big wiring harnesses and lots of connectors all over the vehicle. So the net result is the wiring harness is smaller, it weighs less, and it has fewer connectors and connection points. So it's one of the things that help us deliver on efficiency.
I'm amazed at some of Sandy Monroe's teardowns, and you see them pull the wiring harnesses out of some of these vehicles, and you're like, oh my, that's
a lot of copper.
That's a lot of copper. 90 plus pounds in some vehicles, and we can get it down to 30 pounds. That's an amazing weight savings. So
that's great.
And one of the things that we've announced a short while back is our relationship now with Yazaki. They're helping us with those newer, smaller wiring harnesses to the extent that they've even got their engineers here embedded with us, helping us deliver on that promise. And have these harnesses ready for production.
Yuzaki's in half of all new cars sold, so they're an amazing company, and I think they have amazing reach, and it's very cool that they're willing to help us get this vehicle into production the right way on the wiring, harness, and connector side.
Thank you. And I believe we have JC to tell us a little bit more about how the electrical system in Aptera will work.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Thanks, JC.
So hi, I'm JC. I'm a firmware engineer here at Aptera, and I'm going to show you our low voltage test bench. This bench basically represents all of the body controls that we have. Body controls are going to be things like the window motors, the door latches, and different kinds of lights. So this table is set up to enable us to program those components and watch how they interact with each other so that we can debug and we can figure out how the system would work in the real vehicle. Right now, this is where our wheel is. And above it, you can see that we have a rear view mirror with our video feed live from behind. We also have windows, well, fake windows with weights hooked up so that we can test out the infotainment, where if you push up, the window should rise, and down, the window closes. This little button simulates the button that would be in the vehicle to open your door, and when I press it, our left door latch opens all the way. When our left door latch opens, we get the wheel well lights that would be down at your feet when you're in the vehicle so that you can see where you're getting in. And then when I close the door, the lights will go off. We also have the blinkers hooked up in the back of the vehicle so that we can test our signal patterns for turn signals, as well as test our hazard button lights. We also have a pretty unique way of getting into the vehicle. We have two different methods for unlocking the door and getting in. The first method is an RFID card that you would have where you pull it out of your pocket and then you can tap it against the door and it will authenticate that it's you with the card and it will open the door for you. We will also be having an app where you can authenticate who you are via Bluetooth. And then whenever you want to open the door of the vehicle, you can just walk up and knock on the B pillar twice. So the main goal of Aptera's body control design is to minimize the complexity of the wiring harness. In most vehicles, you would have all of the wires that you need for body controls, like the motor wires and the ajar sensor wires. And all of those would go towards a central computer. And you have that from every single point on the vehicle. So you end up with quite a lot of wires. With Aptera's design, we have smaller control boards that are located in the area of the controls they drive. So the door controller is going to be located in the door, and the rear hatch controller is going to be located in the rear hatch. This way, we can take all of these wires that come from the rear hatch, process and control them, and then we only have 3 wires total running from each location back to the central computing system.
Okay. Well, as you guys all know, the sun is Aptera's superpower. So to give us an update on solar, Steve.
Thanks, Sarah. When you're a solar electric vehicle company, it's not surprising that one of the largest part of your technical endeavors is going to be solar. And so to that end, Anuj and his solar team is one of the largest single group of engineers here at the company. And I think it's the largest single IP generating group. I think there's about 50 patents either filed or in play just with solar alone. We have in-house patent counsel who Anuj and his team keeps very busy. But you know, they're also working with batteries and composites and suspension as well. But solar takes up the bulk of it. And it was important. It became apparent to us that it couldn't be a thing that we simply thought of as an afterthought or did in any half measure. Rather, we realized early on that we had to go all in and double down on our ownership of solar, from working directly with the cell manufacturer to raw material suppliers all over the world, special test equipment manufacturers and equipment manufacturers to help us make these very unique compound curved solar panels. Anuj had to build a team that could understand all of the material science and longevity issues that do plague some other solar panels, and work to address those, and basically design an extremely lightweight, curvaceous panel that can have a 20-year life span. We have all the tools inside the company, test chambers, all kinds of solar torture stuff, from ice guns that they've made. Apparently our team is good at making ice guns, to a simulated sun, which is this large 20-foot tower in an enclosed chamber, to a humidity and temperature chamber, to really simulate 20 years of life of the panels. And so we have a very good understanding now of what makes a reliable, productive panel, and that's what you're going to be getting in your solar-powered EV. I think Anuj has some video for us.
He does.
Okay.
It was playing
Nice.
the whole time. It was playing the whole time.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, good.
All right.
All right. What did you guys think of our video?
So solar is a big part of the company, and there couldn't be any other way to do it. So.
I think it's amazing to note that, when we first started testing the first solar panel 2.5 years ago or so, we kind of put it in vehicle configuration to try to figure out how much energy we would create. And we kind of looked at that. We're like, oh, okay, hopefully we can, find somebody to build these solar panels for us. And we learned very quickly that even, the best solar experts in the world were not going to be any help to us really in making automotive grade solar panels. So
Right.
we started very early on with Anuj and his team. We've got to own this and figure out this challenge and make the world's first automotive grade solar technology.
Yeah, just on that point, it's an important point. Even some of the experts, so-called experts, who've done this in very public demonstrations with aircraft or vehicles or things like that, none of them have really given much effort at all to longevity. How's this panel going to work in 1 year, much less 20 years? So this was a lot of new territory that Aptera, I think, was one of the first, along with maybe some of the newer companies out there to uncover. And that learning has just been a big part of the work. How do you can make something easy that works for a month or a year. How do you make something that lasts for 20 years? That's what our team has been doing.
Very cool.
Wonderful.
Oh, baby.
And now, the moment that you've been waiting for, we're going to dive into the gamma developments that have been made, starting with a video.
It all begins with a focus on aerodynamics. As Aptera gracefully pierces the air with its curved nose, wide body, and tapered trunk, it uses less than a quarter of the energy of the average EV on the road today. And while our unique shape may seem like a design statement to some, this is no accident. Our ethos of continuous improvement has pushed us to constantly refine the shape of the Aptera to reduce the force of air flowing around our vehicle while in motion. This has been done with aerodynamic iterations from our talented Aptera team, alongside the tools provided by AirShaper's Aerodynamic Shape Optimization platform. First, we adjusted the shape of our front wheel covers to align with the natural airflow pattern around the nose and main body of the vehicle. Next, we focused on the rear wheel skirt, shaping it to aim the air downward and away from the rear tire, so that a process called pressure recovery can occur as the airflow pushes the Aptera forward, like it's squeezing a wedge with the sides of our rear wheel skirt. Lastly, by reducing the thickness of our tail, we reduce the wake behind the Aptera, so it literally drags much less air along with it. All of these ultra aerodynamic updates means the Aptera can achieve the greatest level of efficiency, refueling from the sun as it drives. With our dedication to continuous improvement in all areas of vehicle engineering, we are eager to find new ways to reinvent transportation. We hope you'll support our efforts at aptera.us.
All right. That was a super cool video. Chris, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we saw there?
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed that super sexy video. It's amazing to kind of see the transition from alpha to gamma, and it was really, a lot of work from our dedicated team here to refine and massage the shape. And it's just amazing the computational tools that we have at our disposal. We can do full aerodynamic simulations for the whole vehicle now in like 4 hours, and some of those generative to design studies overnight. So it's really cool to kind of, tackle an aerodynamic problem and, have your own machinations on how you think that aerodynamic problem might be solved, and then have the computer tell you, no, that's not how you're going to solve this problem. This is how you're going to solve this problem. So I think it's great to have, kind of artificial intelligence telling us how to make this the most aerodynamic shape possible. And it's shaved a lot of, energy usage out of our equation. We actually grew the body by 1% to make it bigger for the passengers. We have more headroom. We have, more interior room. But we actually decreased the total drag product of the vehicle several percent because we've been able to go through this drastic optimization cycle to make this better. But I think we'll continue to do that until production, and we'll shave every little bit of aerodynamic drag out of the equation we can. So now that we've shown you what the beta version looks like from an exterior perspective, Jason's going to talk about some of the interior attributes.
Great.
Yes.
And exterior too.
Yes, both. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Great to be here, everyone. I do want to just begin by saying that we are in a privileged position, and it's an honor to work on such a noble mission for what we're doing. It's as a designer and working with engineers, working with competent people all around the world now, we have such an amazing product that we're bringing forth. So with that, I'd love to show you essentially what Gamma Interior is about. We'll talk a little bit about Gamma Exterior, and we're leading up to a physical product in about a month's time, as you know.
Very exciting.
And we're going to go from our wonderful renderings and design process into reality. So with that, let's see the video.
Okay. Oh,
I'll
great.
get that working for you.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, so Jason, I think we're going to go through the interior,
Sure.
The center of your world when you're in Aptera, and could you walk us through what that experience is going to be like for drivers?
Correct, right? So the whole starting point for Aptera, beyond our or inclusive of our aerodynamic product, is our user space, which is basically the cabin of the vehicle. And we've endeavored to give the best experience, a unique experience that is commensurate with the unique outside. The interior has to be executed in a similar way. So we went in and we looked at what are the essential needs: comfort, safety, material experience, fit, finish, feel. And these all came together in what you're seeing now. And again, we're going to have a physical representation of this within about 4 short weeks. I'll start with the seating position. We've optimized in the cabin to increase the space. As Chris mentioned, we grew the body about 1%. We've optimized for ergonomics and also reach envelopes. We've got the right H points, which is where your hips are. We've got the right reach envelopes to the steering wheel, to the center screen. We've added our vision system, our side vision system, which is in conjunction with our side rear view mirrors. We expect that all of you will enjoy stepping into a vehicle and having the sun power you to your next destination or bring you back home from wherever you've been. I'd like to focus a little bit on the materials. I know we're going to get a lot of questions. There's modules that make up what we would call the center console, and those modules are going to be variable. You'll be able to choose different types. We're producing our first modules for the show vehicle, Gamma show vehicle, out of a wonderful material, which is essentially pineapple leather. And it's the first of many materials that we're using that are either friendly, carbon neutral, such as our cork in our center console cup holder. We've got automotive grade for safety reasons on the rest of our materials, but we're chasing always the best color, material, and finish options. We're working with some of the most innovative companies and forward-thinking companies, and we really are excited about the ambience and the feel of our interior.
Makes me happy.
That is the mission, to make everyone happy with their experience. Another little view here. Again, this is our gamma level exterior that we're producing for next month. You can see we've added, it's a little bit evolved, I would say, from alpha. Alpha was our starting point. We went through a beta phase. Now this is the gamma reveal, and we are deep into delta, which is, of course, our production intent. I expect that we're going to have maintain our color options for the interior, which is currently Codex, Coast, and Vita. And again, we're working with so many innovative companies and to provide the best materials and the best experience inside.
Jason,
Oh, go ahead.
I've seen this in VR, and it's amazing.
Yes.
Is there a plan to share that VR experience with the
Yeah.
outside world?
This is a great
We'll talk about
question,
it later.
Steve.
Yes.
Yes, we have successfully developed the data level. Now, this is a different program than VR, obviously, but we're able now to experience the vehicle in virtual reality, and it brings a whole nother level. I think it was really important that we got that to you. I think it was last week. I sent you the file, sent the instructions, and the next morning the email return from Steve was, wow. And we expect that everybody gets a wow out of Aptera. It's so nice to be in public, like at Electrify Expo, and people just are like, wow. So the virtual part of the factory, the virtual part of the vehicle, I think we'll be able to share with our customers and our future and potential customers that VR experience beyond the physical product. But nothing beats the physical product, which we have coming.
Yeah.
But this is also a really great way to experience and make good, solid decisions as we evolve this design and lock everything down for production.
Exciting. And the exterior.
Yeah, so again, the exterior has evolved. We've developed our lighting systems, have come a long way. We've got something in the works to share with everybody about the headlamp and our signature lamp. We actually have a demo version of it and we'll be able to share that fairly soon. Chris again talked about the air shaper, and we've iteratively improved our aerodynamics. We look forward to the final drag product as we go through our what we normally call the body in white, but we're gonna have a little bit of a change in that and a little bit of a surprise. In about a month's time, we're going to talk about what this vehicle means and how we put it together and what that's done. But what you're seeing right now is that's exactly what we're building. What you see is what you get for next month, and we'll have a really good chance for everybody to say, oh, I see that. That's way better than Alpha. We're in a unique position as far as our original prototypes. We did great endeavors. But our product will be better than our show vehicle.
I do want to point out, maybe to the eagle-eyed observer, that there seems to be an extra 4 solar cells on the hood. Seems like you and Anuj had a little fight, and Anuj won.
Anuj is a worthy opponent. He is wonderful. Anuj and I, actually, this is the privilege of design when you're working with engineering. You have a chance to battle towards 2 places to win, or 2 ways to win. And we've added more solar cells on both the hood for the eagle-eyed viewer, as Chris pointed out, and also on
Don't give away the secret. It's coming. Surprise.
Also in other areas on the vehicle. But we're improving our ability to add the solar, which will then just help us overall.
Very cool to see it evolve. It's just beautiful. That's all I can say.
We get that a lot. Thank you, Chris.
Yep. Lots of exciting stuff to come. As you can see from the team at Aptera over the coming months, we're getting closer and closer to our goal of reaching production, and we look forward to bringing you all along with us as we go on our journey. We do have one extremely exciting piece of news. It's actually
Breaking.
kind of happening in real
man.
time. We wanted to share with you guys. The timing is great. We actually have announced just in the last few minutes, we have exceeded 25,000 orders for Aptera, which is a huge milestone for us. All of our team, all of our engineers who have worked such long hours and weekends, and the dream that has become a reality. It's really exciting for us to be a part of that, and We're very, very thankful for all of you being a part of that journey with us as well. So very exciting news. We'll be celebrating over the next day or two, but we wanted you guys to be the first to know. We couldn't be more proud.
I think it's an amazing milestone, and it's a milestone that's happened much quicker than I think many people would expect. And you look at us compared to the industry, and I think a lot of people would say, electric pickup trucks, electric luxury sedans, electric SUVs, like that's the hot spot of the EV world, and that's where all the action's happening, and that's where all the interest is. That's not true from what we found, because our pre-orders have accelerated at a pace far faster than any other EV startup comparable that we can find. And it's we feel that the energy is not with these bigger, more energy-consuming vehicles, but people are expressing their interest in efficiency and solar power, and that's why we're at 25,000. So an amazing compliment to the team and the vision, and I think it just bodes very well for our future. So,
and what we were talking about last night is that with the situation, around the world that's happening in Europe right now, a dictator can't shut off the sun. People have that autonomy. They have that freedom to get that energy from the sun whenever they want, however they want. Nobody can take that away from them.
The sun is truly Aptera's superpower. I just want to add too, have I got a future product for you? And and I don't mean that specifically for Chris, but we've already begun, like what happens when you take everything that we've learned and everything we put into this amazing vehicle and you put it in different types of vehicles. And our future product line is exciting. And we know this because we've been working on this for quite some time. But we have this mission, we have this vehicle, we have this mandate, and we have everything we need to go.
Yep. Together, we're driving forward to solar mobility. And now we'll move into the Q&A section of today's webinar presentation. I've got a long list. Thank you to everyone who submitted all of your questions to social media and email over the last couple days. We've also been monitoring the chat that's been happening today during the presentation, and we have some questions that we have gathered from all of you out there. So we'll go ahead and get started and get through as many as we can in the next 20 or so minutes while we have time. So let's start with, I think, the question on everyone's minds regarding delivery and production timeline. So can you give us a little bit of background? When is the production intent vehicle planned for completion?
The engineering team is working very, very hard to basically put a pin in the production design. Jason alluded to showing everyone an example of the Gamma vehicle here in about a month. Maybe a few weeks more to put some polish on it. But very soon we'll have a representative Gamma vehicle. But obviously, I think what people don't realize is the effort that went into building that Gamma vehicle and the design for that Gamma vehicle was months and months ago. Same thing with Beta. I mean, we're out testing Beta now, and you saw the suspension team out there, but that vehicle was designed a year ago. And then we had to build that vehicle, and now it's actually getting to testing. So it's the same thing with the actual production intent vehicle, the Delta version of the vehicle. We're trying to put a pin in that Delta version of the vehicle now. It will take several more months to put a pin in that, but we hope to have that pre-production vehicle done by the end of the year, and we hope to deliver our first pre-production vehicle to somebody by the end of the year, and then we hope to scale our manufacturing into 2023. And I think, as we see this building fill out with equipment and the other building down the street fill out with equipment, I think everybody will kind of feel the momentum that we're looking to scale in 2023 and really start to deliver volumes. I think one of the exciting things is, when we first started, it was, gosh, if we could get 1,000 orders, like this could be a real company. And, I had my boat company, and I was like, well, it kind of takes like 3,000 or 4,000 before you get any kind of economies of scale. Oh, that'd be great if we got 3,000 or 4,000. Oh, holy shit, man. And then after like 2 weeks of pre-orders, we had, 4,000 orders, and now we have 25,000 orders. But we saw this trend, and, kind of a year ago, we said, okay, this is not a small production plan anymore. This is not a small time build, 4,000 vehicles a year type of company. This is we need to plan to build 100,000 vehicles a year, and how do we get there? So everything we're doing here in San Diego is really on the premise of how do we build 50,000 vehicles a year. And we started, really working with our vendors and, talking about, what does the tooling look like to scale to that number. And I think we've been executing on that greatly. So I think people will be surprised that even though it has taken a bit longer to really execute on first production vehicle and even slightly scale, once we get to scale, it's going to be explosive, and we're going to be able to deliver a lot of vehicles very quickly. So.
And there's some announcements that we haven't made yet that we will be, that are really to that point of how do we transition beyond our earlier thinking to 50,000, 100,000 units a year, and who are the partners that are going to help us do that? And that's really exciting, and that's what enables us.
I think Pablo would attest to the amazing support we've gotten from strategic suppliers that certainly 2 years ago would not have given us the time of day. But now that we've been able to express, our solar mobility vision to people, and we have 25,000 orders, I think people, out in the world, the vendors, suppliers, they're like, yes, we want to be part of solar mobility. You guys are going to make it, and we're going to support you. So I think we've gotten a lot of help from strategic suppliers that 2 years ago just were unthinkable, because they were so big and had such scale in automotive. But now we're working with them. They're investing in us. They're giving us support that they aren't giving, other companies, I think. And, it's really been cool to see how people have been supporting solar mobility. So it just helps us scale quicker and deliver more vehicles quicker. So
How many questions do we have?
I have a long
Okay.
list of questions.
You should probably-
that's one
that's
I think that's on
43 minutes.
everyone's
That's a big
minds.
one. Okay, that's a big one.
But just, I guess, one quick follow-up question to that. So as far as regional rollout, do we have any idea or vision on how that regional rollout will happen? Will it be California? Do we have a plan for other states beyond that?
What's in our head now, I think everyone will share the sentiment, is, the first 1,000 vehicle deliveries should probably be as consistent as possible. So we're obviously building the 41 kilowatt hour pack first. The first, in our heads, first 1,000 vehicles will be that vehicle. And obviously we don't want to ship them all around the world right away. We want to ship them close to home so we can support those customers. So kind of in our head is the first 1,000 vehicles, stay close to home. But our ramp is very aggressive. So it's not like delivering those first 1,000 vehicles takes, 6 months. It's in a couple months we have those first 1,000 vehicles out the door. And then we can spread, from California out to the rest of the U.S. and then out to the world. So we think that by 2024, we'll kind of be a global company and, be delivering vehicles all over the place.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So for those people who are contemplating changing their orders, perhaps, and wondering whether they would get their Aptera sooner if they changed to...
If you change to a 41 kilowatt hour version of the Aptera, you'll probably get your vehicle quicker. But we certainly understand, the need to move from the 400 mile range version to the 250 and 600 as quickly as possible, because a lot of people want those different range options. But the 400 is our most popular vehicle variant. I think 40% of our orders are just the 400 or 400 mile range version. So, yes, if you want yours quicker, you'll still hold your place in line. Even if you change your order, we still will rank you by when you put your order in. So, so don't fear if you change, your vehicle variant. We'll still get you, your vehicle in the order that you placed your pre-order. The best we can.
Perfect. Thank you. We have lots of questions regarding financing and investing. Can you give us a quick overview? Are we still taking investments from the public? And can we invest in the Series B round? How is Marathon involved in this? Maybe you could give us a quick overview of our current situation as it relates to fundraising.
It's been amazing to see the amount of crowd. I'll try to make it quick. It's been amazing to see the amount of crowdfunding support we've gotten. We have over 11,000 investors, and they continue, to come in every time we open up that round. We have closed the crowdfunding round now, but if you are an accredited investor and are interested in a private preferred round of investing, please contact us. If you're an accredited investor, you know what accredited means. But we are still running that accredited investor round for the next few weeks. And we've signed a deal with Marathon Capital. They're the nation's largest clean tech investment bank. And they will be shepherding the capital that we need to, move, not only into production, but beyond production into other variants of the vehicle and opening up new factories. And it's exciting to see the financial model come together and see, we have a financial model to open up 6 factories in the next several years. So each of those factories obviously comes with capital needs, and it's been amazing that the public has been so gracious to support us with those capital needs so far. But these are pretty big dollars we're talking about. So Marathon Capital is coming in to talk to institutional investors, and obviously getting those institutional investors involved, helps us scale very quickly. And then obviously we're looking to be a public entity, within the next couple of years. So I think Marathon plays well into that plan and positions us well to be a public company.
Great. So stay tuned for more information on that coming soon. We have a question from a customer who pre-ordered the 1,000-mile version and lives in the Netherlands, Europe. So they're wondering, they understand they'll be expecting their Aptera later. They're wondering, will there be more options? For example, cooled seats, heat pump seating, because of the additional development time. And what do you anticipate that timing might look like?
Well, you can speak to timing. On the technical
Yeah,
part,
sure.
heat pump is something that we're obviously very interested in. We're not launching with it, but definitely it's a more efficient way to heat and cool the vehicle. Heated seats have been not only discussed, but there's a placeholder for them. I don't know if they will make it into the launch vehicle, so I think by time we go through EU homologation, those things would be available in that model.
Yeah, I would add that we are very conscious of the homologation needs for the EU and our customers, our future customers there, and we're addressing that on both the physical side and the regulatory, like lighting side and everything. But we're very aware of those needs and how they need to be met.
I'm looking at the map behind you, Sarah, and I'm trying to discern 1,000 miles from the Netherlands. It's very, very far. Like you could drive to Spain, maybe. Like it's 1,000 miles is a lot of range. So it'd be very cool to see those vehicles out there and see what people can
I
actually
want to
do.
know
with
where they
1,000.
plan on driving with that thing.
Yeah. So I guess a follow-up range-related question related to the all-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive. How many miles less of range does the all-wheel drive have versus front-wheel drive?
Can't really say.
Yeah,
Okay.
we haven't really put a number on it yet. We'll be testing.
That's fair.
Over the coming months.
That's fair. Have all of the street legal hurdles, such as the rear-facing cameras, been overcome?
Yes. Without a doubt.
Great.
The answer is yes.
They're also thanking you for your hard work. So there you go.
Thank you.
Let's see. What can you tell us on the level 2 autonomy plan for Aptera at this point?
It's progressing nicely, but it really is lining up the vendors to support us. When you talk about level 2 autonomy, you have to control the steering system, the braking system. You have to have a brilliant sensor package to get you where you need to go. But the space is changing really, really quickly. I mean, we first started talking about level 2 autonomy, a couple of years ago, and just in the last 2 years, I think the ideas that a lot of the vendors have had have really changed. So we're thinking very differently now about what that package looks like, and I think in large part it's been drastically simplified. It's a lot cheaper now, so I think we will be able to offer that eventually, but we're not looking to offer that in the first production vehicles. We're slowly progressing into a system we can validate. That validation will take some time, and then we'll be able to offer it to you guys as an add-on.
Great. We have a lot of design-related questions. So, Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you here.
Okay.
Let's talk about a question that's been a hot topic on our forums and on our social media regarding the yoke. Can you give us some more details on the benefits of the yoke?
Sure.
What is its
I
functional
thought you were going
purpose?
to talk about cup holders.
Well, that's next on my list.
Is that the next? 'Cause that's
next.
usually the hot topic.
That's the second hot topic.
Okay.
But.
So in our development, we've got to a place where we really wanted to combine the vision system, and not only that, the driving dynamics and everything. It just, again, the experience of Aptera, all of it, from the visual to the physical, kind of demands that we are part of the future. And the future in this case for us is involving a yoke, steering mechanism or steering wheel. I think the benefits so far, which we're optimizing for, are the ergonomics, both in the hand feel and also for the, again, really the vision system. And there's an adoption. There's definitely an experience, but once you're kind of doing this, you've quickly realized like this makes sense, and you kind of jettison any kind of either baggage or old way of thinking, or kind of I was so used to this, and I didn't know that would work also. So we look forward to sharing that in person. You'll see that in our our show vehicle next month, in our Gamma, and I think we'll have a lot of great support on that.
Okay, great. All right, about these cup holders.
Yes.
Cup holders are huge. Can you
Yes.
explain how will the bungee style cup holders work? Will it be
Yes.
removable for cleaning?
Yes, we have several ways, and this speaks to kind of the modularity of what we want to offer the users. We always, from the first second, knew that there are certain things that the vehicle will have. You know, the comfort, safety, the cup holders, some storage. You know, as efficiently as we can provide the storage. The current module that we're going to test out, that we have tested out and we're going to put in the show vehicle, is we're adding the bungees as a kind of extra feature so that they don't tip over. Now we could make them taller and deeper, but that's more material. So we're trying to use the least amount of material, and there's the actual bungee is it's not a natural fiber, but it's like a recycle. It's got a great story too. So what these bungees do when you put the modules in, your cups or your bottles, is they just secure it so it doesn't go flying around. And you know, given our driving dynamics, this is important. So cup holders have always been part of it. You know, we take it from a first person point of view. Like, what do I need? What do I need is the most important. What do I want is where we get to have a lot of flexibility and a lot of fun. And then how we do that. How do we efficiently offer the manufacturing? You know, I don't think anybody's expecting, and I'm allergic to a giant plastic center console. That's not going to happen. But we're going to give some great materials. We're going to have the comfort. Your arm will be there. You have some storage. We have a document holder. We have an overhead console with, you know, we used to call them map lights, but that maps aren't a thing. Paper maps aren't a thing anymore. So we have cabin lights, right? And then as you move to the screen, you've got all the interaction for your HMI and your UI UX and your vehicle controls. We're going to hold back. There's something, somebody will kind of figure it out, but we're going to hold back until the show vehicle on what we're really, the innovation that we're bringing to the cabin. So
Okay.
next question.
That's probably a follow-up, maybe alluding to that. But this customer is a big guy, 6'3" and 250 pounds. Will he be comfortable in this vehicle for long drives?
I hope so. I don't know him, but I would hope that he would be. We're going to give him a great environment. Like,
Okay.
there's a balance between optimization, but also, how should I say this? Optimization of like a perfect world, or optimization for the world's most efficient vehicle. Mm-hmm. We have a comfortable seat in the right position. We have a larger cabin. We have the reach envelopes, but it's not a minivan. There is no sense of large space. It is a controlled, or not a confined. It's an environment that is commensurate with the mission, which is the most efficient vehicle possible. We've done well beyond the alpha seats. So anybody that's experienced an actual alpha seat, they're going to be very pleased with where we're at with the Gamma interior.
That's
And we have employees here that are pretty tall, and you just went to Electrify Expo and had some pretty tall people in the vehicle, and seemed to be very comfortable even for the 6'5" plus guys.
Yeah, and that's alpha.
Right.
So
Yeah.
once we're in the Gamma interior, that's a whole nother level.
so. How will Gamma change?
Well, it's just bigger and better, right? And it's enough. You'd think, oh, those look exactly the same. They're the same size, but they're not. Because when you're in such a space like this, every little millimeter counts, and we're optimizing for all of that space efficiency.
That's great. Okay, we have just a couple more minutes left for questions. I guess moving away, so could we talk about service and support? Will we be setting up regional support and service centers? What type of a warranty do you anticipate for the final production model? Do we have any more information? on
We'll
this?
be announcing warranty specs as we get closer to production. It really leans on our supply chain. Obviously, a lot of the warranty stuff is passed through, so we kind of have to completely lock our bill of materials and all the supply agreements to finalize our warranty program. But we'll be announcing that closer to production. And our service and support, I think, we're building a very modular vehicle that should be very easy to repair, but we realize things happen. So not just being right to repair company that can provide you information, parts, and support, but having regional service centers and kind of our mobile service will be important over time. Obviously, we can tell where our order densities are, and we'll basically place those service centers and support services where our highest orders are.
Yeah, and there are parts of that plan are coming together, and some decisions to be made still on whether they're maybe trained, vetted, credentialed partners, or whether it's Aptera run, and we're working through both of those things.
Yeah.
Great. Any plans for test drives?
Of course, as we get those kind of pre-production vehicles built, but as I said, we're striving to deliver our first pre-production vehicle by the end of the year. So that means we probably won't have multiple of those pre-production vehicles until 2023. So in 2023, I would say yes, we're going to have events not only at this beautiful factory we have here, but around Southern California and maybe out into the country as we start to grow our distribution into other areas.
Yeah. I think that ties right into the last question we had here, which was, when will you have solar mobility tours outside of California? So this person probably saw we went up and down the coast a few weeks ago and talked to college students and wondering when they'll be able to see Aptera. I guess I can answer that from a marketing standpoint. We absolutely do hope to have these types of events outside of California. We're really excited to give everyone the chance to see an Aptera, sit in an Aptera, experience the movement that we're all a part of. So we'll definitely keep you posted as we have more of those events coming up ahead. And I think that's about it. Looks like we're just kind of closing in on the last minute or two. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add before we close here as our 1 hour is up?
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, we just broke through 25,000 pre-orders while here doing this interview. So thank you all for your support. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who supported us through the crowdfunding, through pre-ordering the vehicle, through liking our social media and helping us spread the word. Our ambassador team has been amazing at helping with community events and spreading the gospel about solar mobility. And our team here, who's just putting in countless hours, late nights on the weekend to bring this pre-production design into reality and force solar mobility into existence. So it's been amazing to see, the collaboration with a lot of young engineers and old engineers and strategic suppliers and vendors, and there's just a lot of moving pieces to bring a program like this together. And I would say a couple of months ago it started to feel really tangible, whereas 6 months ago it felt kind of abstract because there was so many pieces moving. But a couple of months ago it was like, this is a vehicle. All the parts are here. This is there's the steering wheel and the brake pedals and the stuff to keep you cool in the vehicle and the headlights. Like all the pieces are there. We just gotta put a pin in it and get this vehicle ready for production. So it's amazing to see the progress, and we're just so humbled for the internal support and external support that we've received.
Yeah, that's great. I think you made the right statement about the. We made a couple of key decisions, which kind of breaks the cycle of being able to finish. And I'm really, really excited about that. I will mention one more thing. We, of course, will have a windshield wiper. Right? Because that sometimes people are like, well, where's the wiper? But no, we have a windshield wiper, and it'll be part of our system. So with that, Sarah, anything else?
I think that's it. Thank you so much. Again, we appreciate you all. We are grateful that you're a part of our journey and helping us to drive solar mobility forward. We've got lots of great stuff coming up ahead. As you can tell, it's a very exciting time for us here at Aptera. We look forward to showing you our Gamma vehicle in person very soon and sharing a lot of other announcements with you. So thanks for tuning in. More to come. Take care.